just mentioned there the Ahmadiyya community. Well, we also have on the line Farooq Aftab, who's from the Ahmadiyya Muslim community in Morden, and is basically responsible for running the biggest mosque in Western Europe. Thank you so much for joining us today, Farooq. Now, you've just returned from Pakistan. Can you describe what you saw whilst you were in Pakistan?
Yes, thanks. First, let me say on behalf of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community, we condemn this attack, this barbaric attack, wholeheartedly. It's an attack which goes beyond all bounds of decency and the cruelty. But the most extreme example of barbarity and bloodshed which we have seen, with innocent victims being children. These are innocent children who are brutally targeted by people who say they seek to enforce Sharia law. What kind of Islam is it that they practice? What type of Sharia do they follow? And the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, strictly forbade any woman or child to be ever targeted. And it's a tragedy and injustice of the heaviest proportion that such hateful and vengeful acts are being carried out in the name of God.
Farooq, how is the country healing, or is it healing at this point? Or are they very angry and they want revenge, or do they want justice? What is the country asking for while you were there?
I think revenge can never be the answer.
Right.
Let me put in perspective. I went on a fact-finding delegation on behalf of the Asian Human Rights Committee and the International Human Rights Committee. We went to look at how Pakistan is dealing with minorities, Christians, Hindus, Sikhs, but particularly the situation of Ahmadiyya Muslims, which goes unheard of. You need to go back before 9/11, understand the complexity in Pakistan. You need to look at the law. In 74, Bhutto outlawed and created a law declaring Ahmadis non-Muslims. Then you had Ordinance 20 during the time of the dictator General Zia, which led to the blasphemy laws. Now, when you create these kind of things, you're creating like a Pandora's box. They've created a monster now which can't be controlled. You've got clerics which are inciting people, leading people astray. Everyday life is unbearable. You have problems with children who can't go to school. There's social discrimination, boycotting, there's assaults. We heard harrowing incidents from hundreds of people daily who face these problems. To put in perspective, there's one incident in Gujranwala recently where a mob of about 200 people, they actually set alight 8 houses, and then 20 ladies were put into a room. The room door was sealed.
Right.
Fuel was deliberately thrown in, and these people were trying to be burnt.
Let me ask you this. This was an extremist group. This is just a group of people targeting a part of a community.
Yes, that it is. These are normal, everyday people.
So now, when you see that kind of brutality in that country towards their own citizens, and then something like this horrific happens from a organisation that we all recognise and all know what they're capable of, then how is a country going to deal with them when they've got internal issues that they haven't been able to resolve?
Well, this is the question. The society as a whole needs to collectively get together.
Right.
The state itself is very weak. We spoke to members of judiciary, lawyers, we spoke to civil society, we spoke to law enforcement bodies. Everyone had the same thing to say. They said they can't control it.
Right.
Let me just bring in Mohammed again on this. Mohammed, from your perspective, how has the Pakistani community here in London reacted to the attack? We've heard of the vigils that have been going across the city and actually across the UK. It's fair to say it's not just the Pakistani community that's reacting to this, really, is it? Do we have you there, Mohammed? Okay,
no.
Unfortunately, we've lost Mohammed. We'll try to see if we can get him back. Farooq, would you be able to answer that question?
Sorry, can you just repeat
Just
that?
asking, how has the Pakistani community reacted to the attack here in London?
I think everyone's pulling together. This is not an attack against one community. It's against attack against humanity. So everyone's pulling together to condemn this and say, look, enough is enough. Pakistan now needs to really take care of what's going on in its society and to deal with this kind of issue, because it's not only affecting things in Pakistan, it's spiraling out into other countries, and it's affecting law and order around our world.
And I was just saying earlier on, Farooq, that it's fair to say that the whole international community has come together in hearing this very sad and horrific news.
Of course they have, but you need to look back and say that there's a lot more that needs to be done. The international community really needs to put a lot more pressure on Pakistan. We need to get rid of these hate laws, the extremism that exists there, and that won't happen unless you have a concerted and solid effort internationally.
So, moving forward, as someone who's here in London, in the United Kingdom, they've got family in Pakistan. They're concerned about their families. Do you know of how they can get this information and credible information from an organisation that you might be using?
Well, I think that information. What kind of information are you particularly thinking of?
I think Sunny's actually talking about families based here who are talking and want to get in touch with families in Pakistan and ensure that everything is okay there with their families now.
I think there are many organisations that you can go through. There are NGOs that deal with it. There's the Asian Human Rights Commission, Asian Rights Committee. There are other organisations through Amnesty as well that you can get in touch with if you have issues. And then obviously there's the Pakistan High Commission as well, who are dealing with people on this issue.
So, Farooq, thank you so much for joining us here on the show. Mohammed, I just wanted to ask from your perspective, is it right to say that this week's massacre was an attack on